Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz. Here we are in the Overflow Room Annex. Oh, by the way, I'm the executive editor of ClassicsToday.com. Yes, you do that. Anyway, here we are in the Overflow Room Annex talking about books on music. And boy, have I got a couple whoppers for you. I really do. First, this one'll grab you. Edith Lynwood Winn. Remember her? No, I'll bet you don't. Edith Lynwood Winn was a violin teacher and pedagogue who wrote for various ladies' magazines and other things during the first few decades of the 20th century. I believe she was based in Boston, at least for part of her career. And I have a bunch of her books, actually. She's part of the world of amateur violin playing that I was researching when I was doing my research into vibrato performance practice. It's an area that the period instrument people don't care about at all because they're only interested in, what great virtuosi were doing and the occasional violin treatise that they emitted, which is absolutely a waste of time because we have no evidence that people read these things or paid any attention to what they said or did what they were instructed to do. Whereas on the other hand, there was, before recording and radio and all that stuff, an enormous industry of local musical pedagogy and music making at home. And that's where most musicians came from. And I thought to myself, gee, it would be awfully interesting to find out what those people were doing. And it turns out that some of those pedagogues wrote interesting treatises on violin playing. We've already talked in the previous video about W.C. Honeyman, the crazy Scottish violin guy who also wrote detective fiction in the 1870s and 80s. It's fabulous stuff. Well, Edith Lynwood Winn also wrote other things besides violin treatises, and she wrote this book of short stories called The Etudes of Life, using an extended metaphor which is extended beyond all rational reason or validity. But I thought I would just give you a sample because it's just too juicy to pass up. It's dedicated to the memory of Edward MacDowell, which is great. Does it have a publication date? I'm just curious. I don't know if there's actually this particular reproduction thing. Remember, we used to be able to get all these things like from Google Books and all that stuff. Anyway, let's take a look at The Old Cellist's Prayer, shall we? Hang on a minute. Page 81. There we are. There it is. The Old Cellist's Prayer. Sit down, children, and get a load of this thing. Lord, let me never reach a note that is not divine. Reach or teach. It's done in fraktur, actually. Let me never teach a note that is not divine, that does not help some soul to better live. Make me respect my material so much that I shall not shirk. Help me to be honest towards art and loyal to the best in life. Teach me to be pure as the happy children whom I lead. There you go. Give me the tone color that is but a reflection of the inner light of perfect peace within God and man. Let me hold to ideals, for there is an enormous expenditure of energy in the pursuit of the unreal. Yeah, okay. Keep me from caring more for art than for human needs, more for the perfected bow than for the unbent twig. Guide me in my work that I may be the best that I can in the face of absolute truth. And when, Lord, my work is done, grant me but a modest recompense. No, modest competence. Recompense, no, competence. Grant me but a modest competence, enough to make the path a little easier as the light grows dim and the hands become too feeble to guide the staff. Then take me home, for I shall be tired, very tired, after the long journey. It's a treasure. You cannot believe the stuff that's in here. Wait a minute. I got to give you some titles. It's hilarious. The Idealist, The Song Cycle, The Perfected Bow, The Crucible of Art, To My Valentine, Astrid, I like this one, The Cry of the Ungifted. Oh boy. And then Soul Technic and Auf Wiedersehen. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I thought that was kind of special and that you should hear about it. Then we've got Hermann Scherchen's Handbook of Conducting. This is marvelous. Scherchen, as you know, is a total loon, crazy person. And he lived from, 1891 to 1966. He conducted everything. He played everything. He had wonderful advice about how to do stuff. He wrote this in 1929. And of course, I got this because I was interested in my studies of vibrato in the orchestra. And he talks about, using vibrato everywhere, all over the place. It's just wonderful. But it's a terrifically interesting book if you like conducting, if you're interested in conductors. Most conductors do not write textbooks, but Scherchen, was an exception, and this is just incredibly fun to read. He talks about Mahler and Strauss and stuff that wasn't being played in the 20s. A lot of contemporary music, Stravinsky, and it's just great. You should definitely read it, just for fun. And then there's this lovely collection edited by Paul Matthews on Orchestration, an anthology of writings. Let's see, he's at Peabody. I took classes there when I was at Johns Hopkins. This was published in, does it say when? Well, yeah, I'm sure it says when right at the beginning. But it's a really fine collection based on period in question. We have the early 19th century, Beethoven's Orchestration. So you've got, On the Symphony, essays by Czerny, Berlioz, Wagner, Gounod, pamphlet on Mahler's edition of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony by Mahler and Siegfried Lepiner, Beethoven's instrumentation by Stravinsky. Then we've got the late 19th century French and German orchestration, statements on orchestration by Mahler, by Gewert, by Richard Strauss, then things by, more by Berlioz, Solomon Yadason. He was actually a very interesting character. Delius and Papus, Rimsky-Korsakov, Busoni, Joseph Matthias Hauer, Percy Granger, Arnold Schoenberg, Charles Coquelin from his orchestration treatise, Stravinsky and Robert Kraft. Then we have the early 20th century, Schoenberg, Webern, Stravinsky, and Schnittke. And finally, later 20th century innovations. We have Ives, Elliott Carter, Steve Reich, Henry Brandt, and Frank Oteri, Morton Feldman, and Pierre Boulez. Very, very interesting book. Again, it's Paul Matthews is the editor, and it's Orchestration, an anthology of writings, something you may very well want to pick up. So that's just 3 very different and I think kind of fascinating books that you can find down here in the Overflow Room Annex, the reading library. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.